Hi, I'm Simon Trinder. Welcome to the Actorvist. I've been an actor for 20 years and I don't have all the answers by any means. I just enjoy asking the questions. So these are thoughts about the job, on the job, so to speak. Hi everyone. Man, I'm freezing cold. Sorry, my mouth might not work because it's freezing outside. Very quick one today, and it's an idea about technique, if nothing else, and it's to do with rehearsal etiquette. And there's something that struck me years and years ago about the way we approach getting onto our feet in rehearsal. Something happens to us, I think, where we assume that when we've got the job or when we've got the role, we need to get it right from the word go. I know that there's millions of actors like me who feel that pressure all the time because students talk about it, fellow actors talk about it, and it's totally unnecessary. And watching some brilliant actors that I know of in the room on the floor, something really struck me about their approach to rehearsal, and that was that it's a waste process. It's a waste process. And just that little idea really freed me up, like sincerely freed me up. In my early days as an actor 20 years ago, I was determined to get everything absolutely spot on from the word go. If it didn't work in the way that I expected it to, then I'd completely failed. And I would sit down and give myself a really, really hard time about it and then get up with a weight of guilt, sort of creative guilt on top of me, which would then be compounded by the next time that things didn't go right or in the way that I expected. Now, part of the waste process is accepting that rehearsal is not performance. There is a difference between rehearsal and performance. And I know this is dead obvious and probably mega patronising, so I apologise. But I need to remind myself. Something that students tend to do when I am leading a session is jump on their feet with their script in hand. This is just a little technique thing today, guys, dead quick, and we'll come back to this idea of the waste process another point because I think it's massive. But if you're going to remind yourself that it's a waste process, and if you're going to acknowledge on the floor that it's a waste process and make the most of that advantage, which is, I guess, a mindset of playfulness and discovery and exploration, then you can do that very simply by acknowledging that you have a text in your hand, if indeed you do. How many student actors or professional actors have you seen jumping on their feet on day one of a rehearsal or a reading and putting their texts down here by their side, trying to remember the words that they haven't even begun to learn yet? It's mind-blowing, and I've done it myself. I find it really weird because we all know that it's day one of rehearsal or week 2 or week 3 and that you've not been asked necessarily to be off book. And by the way, I think the general rule there is do it on your feet twice with book in hand and then attempt to be as much off book as possible the next time, and then the time after that put the book down. So I'd say 3 or 4 goes before you're completely off book, but certainly trying to recall the language by go number 3. Why do people do it? If you've got a text in your hand, we can all see it. Putting it down by your side doesn't make a difference. It's not invisible all of a sudden. So what I think you should do, and I get some of my students to practice this, it's a little bit like a deportment exercise. I get them to walk around the room sometimes with a text and keep it in the air like so. And this is ridiculous. I'm sorry that I'm doing this, but I do think it's important. Text in the air like you just don't care. Looking outward, because that's all about retaining eye contact with your other actors. Reading your text, maybe following it with your thumb, but constantly re-engaging in terms of eye contact with other people. And what that does is it supports the idea that the rehearsal is about relationship and developing relationship. If you've got a text down by your side and you're consistently looking down, you break relationship with the person that you're dealing with. If your text is there, we all know it's a rehearsal, so it's fine. But what you can do then is you can take the language off the page and directly affect the person opposite you or the people opposite you. It gives you so much more freedom. Naturally, you can turn it around, you can take it anywhere. If it's a moment where you are listening to somebody else deliver for a while, then by all means, put it down by your side and receive and receive. But every now and again, just bring it back into focus, a little quick check, and then keep that eye contact and relationship alive. It's a discipline because people still do it when they've been told, but it's a wonderfully freeing thing to keep the text in the air, retain eye contact, develop relationship, and acknowledge that you're still exploring what's going on. It's a waste process.